There is a unique terror that comes with starting a new job. The uncertainty, the unfamiliar faces, the unknown expectations. But what if the fears were more sinister than just nerves? What if the danger was real? Imagine walking into a place where shadows seem to move on their own, where whispers follow you down empty hallways, where the air feels thick with dread. These are not just stories, they are real experiences. First days on new jobs that turned into nightmares. In the following sections, you will read 3 true tales of terror, each one distinct, each one chilling. Prepare yourself for a journey into the unknown, a journey that will leave you questioning the safety of your own workplace. As you read, remember that these stories happen to real people. They started their first shifts with hope and ended with horror. Now let's step into the darkness and uncover the secrets of these haunted beginnings. Megan had always wanted to be a nurse. Helping people was her calling. She had spent years studying and training, dreaming of the day she could finally make a difference in people's lives. Her first day at St. Augustine's Hospital should have been a dream come true, but from the moment she stepped inside, something felt wrong. The air was thick with an unexplainable tension, and the walls seemed to whisper secrets of the past. The corridors were cold and silent, too silent. It was as if the building itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Her shift started in the old wing of the hospital, a place long abandoned yet still used for storage. The walls were covered in peeling paint and the air was filled with the scent of decay. As she walked through the dimly lit halls, she heard it. A faint crying. It was so soft that she almost thought she was imagining it. It was soft, almost like a whisper. She followed the sound, thinking it was a patient in need. Her heart raced as she moved deeper into the darkness, the crying growing louder with each step. But the rooms were empty. The crying continued, leading her deeper into the darkness. Each room she passed was more desolate than the last, filled with broken furniture and forgotten memories. In one of the rooms, she found an old hospital bed. The crying was louder now, echoing off the walls. The bed looked as if it hadn't been used in years, covered in a thick layer of dust. She approached the bed, her heart pounding. Suddenly, the bed sheets flew into the air as if pulled by invisible hands. The room grew colder and she could see her breath in the air. Megan screamed and ran, but the door slammed shut behind her. She was trapped. Panic set in as she banged on the door, hoping someone would hear her. A cold hand touched her shoulder. She turned, expecting to see someone, anyone, but there was no one there. The touch was icy, sending shivers down her spine. But there was no one there. The crying stopped, replaced by a chilling laughter. The sound echoed through the halls, making her feel more alone than ever. Megan's first shift ended with her being found unconscious on the floor. She never returned to St. Augustine ES, and the old wing was permanently closed. The hospital staff whispered about the incident, but no one dared to speak of it openly. The old wing remained a place of mystery and fear, a reminder of the hospital's haunted past. Jake was a thrill-seeker, always looking for the next adrenaline rush. He had tried everything from skydiving to bungee jumping, but nothing quite satisfied his craving for excitement. When he got a job as a night guard at the old amusement park, he was excited. The park had a reputation for being haunted, and Jake thought it would be the perfect place to test his courage. The park had been closed for years, but the owners wanted to reopen it. His job was to keep an eye on the place. Easy money, he thought. The rusted rides and faded signs were a stark reminder of the park's former glory. But he was wrong. From the beginning, the park felt alive. The air was thick with an unsettling energy, as if the park itself was watching him. The rusted rides creaked in the wind. The once bright lights flickered ominously, casting eerie shadows that danced across the ground. It was as if the park was trying to communicate with him. As he patrolled, he heard music. old-time carnival music that seemed to come from nowhere. The haunting melody echoed through the empty park, sending chills down his spine. It was eerie, but he shrugged it off, until he saw the clown. The clown was standing at the entrance to the funhouse. Its painted smile was wide, too wide, almost as if it was mocking him. The clown was standing at the entrance to the funhouse. Its painted smile was wide, too wide. The eyes seemed to follow him, filled with a sinister gleam that made his skin crawl. Jake approached, thinking it was a prank. But the closer he got, the more he realized something was off. The air grew colder, and a sense of dread washed over him. The clown's eyes followed him. Its head slowly turned as he walked by. It was as if the clown was alive, and it was watching his every move. He entered the funhouse, determined to find the source of the music. Inside, the mirrors distorted his reflection, creating twisted versions of himself. Each reflection seemed more grotesque than the last. The music grew louder, more chaotic. Suddenly the mirrors shattered and the clown was there, standing behind him. Its smile was wider, its eyes more menacing. Jake ran, but every turn led him back to the clown. It was as if the funhouse was a maze designed to trap him, and the clown was the gatekeeper. By morning, Jake was found huddled in the ticket booth, shaking and incoherent. His mind was a jumbled mess of fear and confusion. He quit that day, and the amusement park remained closed, its secrets buried in the darkness. The park became a legend, a place where the past and the supernatural intertwined, forever shrouded in mystery. Lily loved books. Ever since she was a child, she found solace in the pages of a good story. Books were her escape, her adventure, and her comfort. So when she got a job as the night librarian at the Old Town Library, she was thrilled. It felt like a dream come true, a place where she could be surrounded by the stories she loved. The library was ancient, with creaky floors and towering shelves. Each corner seemed to whisper secrets of the past, and the smell of old paper filled the air. It was a quiet place, or so she thought. The silence was almost tangible, wrapping around her like a thick blanket. Her first night started normally. She went about her tasks with a sense of purpose and excitement. She shelved books, checked the inventory, and settled in for a peaceful shift. The hours seemed to pass quickly as she lost herself in the rhythm of her work. But as the clock struck midnight, the atmosphere changed. The air grew heavy, and an unsettling stillness took over. The lights dimmed and a cold breeze swept through the aisles. It was as if the library itself had taken a deep breath. She felt like she was being watched. The hairs on the back of her neck stood up, and she couldn't shake the feeling of unseen eyes following her every move. While she was organizing books in the history section, she heard a thud. It was a sound that echoed through the silent library, making her heart race. A book had fallen off the shelf. She picked it up, only to have another one fall, then another. It was as if the books were trying to tell her something. She picked it up, only to have another one fall, then another. Soon books were flying off the shelves, seemingly on their own. Soon books were flying off the shelves, seemingly on their own. She backed away, but the books followed, forming a path for her to follow. She backed away, but the books followed, forming a path for her to follow. It was as if an invisible hand was guiding her. The path led her to a hidden door behind a bookshelf. She hesitated, her hand trembling as she reached for the handle. Hesitant, she opened it and descended a narrow staircase. Each step echoed in the confined space, amplifying her growing sense of dread. At the bottom, she found a small, dusty room. The air was thick with the scent of age and neglect. In the center was an old leather-bound book on a pedestal. It seemed to pulse with an eerie energy, drawing her closer. As she approached, the book opened, and the pages flipped rapidly. She heard voices whispering her name. She heard voices whispering her name. Shadows danced on the walls, growing closer. Shadows danced on the walls, growing closer. She turned to run, but the door slammed shut. She turned to run, but the door slammed shut. panic set in as the whispers grew louder, more insistent. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to be coming from all directions, surrounding her. By the time the morning staff arrived, Lily was found curled up in a corner, clutching the book. Her eyes were wide with terror, and she never spoke of what happened. She never spoke of what happened, and the hidden room was sealed off forever. The library returned to its quiet existence, but the whispers of that night lingered in the shadows. New beginnings are supposed to be filled with promise and hope, but sometimes they turn into nightmares. The haunted hospital, the abandoned amusement park, the old library, each place held its own dark secrets. Each first shift ended in terror. These stories remind us that the unknown can be dangerous, that sometimes the things we fear are real. They linger in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. As you go about your day, think of Megan, Jake, and Lily. They started their jobs with excitement, only to find horror. Their experiences are a chilling reminder that not all new beginnings are safe, that sometimes our worst fears are just around the corner. So the next time you start a new job, be cautious. Pay attention to the signs. And remember, not all frights come from within. Some are very real, and they might be waiting for you on your first shift.